And we are live, GM fam. How is everyone doing? Some effing bot joking in chat. How many software engineers does it take to troubleshoot a video connection? We were coming just a little bit late this morning. I thought everything was working, and then last minute, this gorgeous microphone stopped working. So I was having to like try and figure out what's going on. Llamas were amazing as they just kind of sat there and listened to me cussing for about 10 minutes. But we're here. We're live. Llamas, assemble. Let's go ahead and hear a quick intro from all the Llama team we got here.
Yeah, sure. Hey guys, I am Hoff. I'm one of the llamas. Yeah, really happy to be here today. I was also having technical problems, so this is fantastic. I was able to draft and not be called out, so I am pretty happy about that.
I think pretty clearly they
Um,
didn't want the llama party to happen, but we defied them. We're here.
You can't stop
Llamas
us.
can't be stopped. Yeah. I'm PK. I'm one of the llamas here. Running some of the social and art stuff and uh the random day-to-day things, and we're figuring it all out. We're about 6 months into the project now. It's crazy how time flies, and we're finally getting pretty close to launch here. Any week now. Definitely hoping to get everything off the ground before March is over.
That's big
Hey,
news.
and yeah, it's a big stuff. I'm Panda. Yeah, also like one of the founding llamas with a horse and PK and a few others. I've focusing on like the biz deving and trying to get those sweet grant monies in before we go live. So yeah, that's what like my kind of role and everything. Really glad to be here. I've kind of been a Curve Market Cap fanboy for a long time, so it's great being here.
Hey guys, I'm Rask, one of the llamas. Yeah, just working on the dev side, making sure things are good for the mint and the auction. So excited to be here.
I
Nice.
think that's all of us.
That's all the official
Yeah,
llamas,
thanks
but
for
you brought along the entire pack, right?
Yeah, there's some more coming in now.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I feel like we're badly in need of a kind of llama party. I don't know if you've paid attention to the news in the past 24 to 48 hours, but the entire world is burning yet again. So I think we are all due long overdue like party. So before we like venture out of our little like llama compound and look at the disastrous state of the rest of the world, let's keep it in house for a little bit and talk a little bit about the When Llama project. Because I've been following it. It's been probably what 6 months now since you guys got started with it.
Yeah, I think it was about 6 months ago. It started off as like a kind of a smaller, much smaller scope project that was just kind of to have fun as a PFP project. And, it was a group of us that were chilling in Convex in the Discord there, hanging out and kind of wanted to do something to pass the time. And then it just, PK's art is fire, before like whatever else the project may be, first and foremost, it's just great art and he's been killing it with that. And I think everyone was looking for something to do and believe in and play around with, and that's kind of how we got started in the Llamas with humble beginnings, and it's just kind of grown out and grown out.
That's
yeah,
nice.
starting off and everything over in the DGen Convex channels and stuff. We were just like, it's time for a new Llama PFP, just some fun stuff, and then different devs from different protocols who all hang out there, and long time, curve chads and stuff were like, hey, why don't we all, let's chip in and make it a little more than just a PFP, and then let's add the utility, and then the utility kept growing, and more people came on board, more devs willing to help out, including you, and getting the Viper in here and everything, and way beyond just the PFPs. Like there's the real yield utility airdropping aspect of it, the flywheel, but then there's of course the on-chain identity aspect, which is really the big thing. The future jobs board, the integration with different protocols, all like mutualistically benefiting Curve, and how we can get more on-chain activity through like quest systems and stuff, and the badge system, and then giving people a chance to prove like their status and stuff through the badge system, and it just keeps growing and growing. And I think we have something really special here, and like the Curve ecosystem has been missing this social layer, this like kind of NFT fi layer that other protocols are kind of starting to play with, and we're like, let's fill the void. Let's do it right. We're not beholden to anyone. We don't have, you know, any VC money. We're all kind of volunteer ethos working together, kind of, you know, in the Curve true DeFi fashion, immutable fashion. And here we are.
That's cool. So can you talk about some of the other NFT projects that you drew inspiration from? I know of a couple, having been a bit plugged in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Well,
There's
no, go,
yeah, I
go,
can
go.
yeah, I can hop in. Yeah, there's a couple really pioneering ones that we we wanted to walk on their path, and then also like push this to its own place. But the blueberries are trail blazers in acting as this like community hub, this place to rally, but also to pass along like a a yield and a airdrop a eco token, and we're also we think the nouns have really pioneered this NFT DAO crossover, and have really created a lot of the tooling to run a community-owned treasury, and we're trying to take a lot of the cool aspects that they've been pioneering, and kind of apply it to our own.
Yeah, it seems really cool in terms of like all the different utility and, you know, the badge system, like you talked about, the upcoming job board, even just adding that sort of social and identity layer that had long time been missing in a lot of ways. So very, very excited. Let's talk a bit about what the launch actually looks like. So the launch is coming, you say, soon, trademark. You know, first of all, is that going to be before or after Curve USD? And second, like, what does it look like if people are interested in minting
What?
the llamas? What should they be preparing for?
That implies we know when Curve USD is coming. I mean, it would be great if we managed to get it done pre-Curve USD, as I think as that launches, there's just going to be so many eyes looking at the better Curve eco, and just for the sake of the treasury, we're trying to accumulate Curve. So it would be nice to kind of swoop in there at the lows. The market's kind of doing us a favor at the moment in a weird way. So yeah, I'm kind of all for getting into it before Curve USD. Obviously, we've got to see what's happening with the contracts, the test mints, the front end. You know, there's a lot of moving parts, and we've got to stay fluid.
And then the actual mint
Yeah,
mechanics. What's the mint mechanics going to be looking like for people who are interested?
yeah. So we're I'm sure we can all chip in a little, but we're definitely trying to do some innovation here. And like Hoth was saying earlier, nouns is kind of one of the many inspirations or things that we've been looking at, and you know they really pioneered um, some brand new, you know, tech and innovation to Ethereum, to NFTs, to how people buy and sell and stuff, and how the community interacts and like actually has a part in creating or having a voice in how each NFT looks and how they they come to the chain. And so we're doing a little bit of a mix where we kind of have a couple of tiers, which is the allow list, the whitelist, and then the general public. So the allow list is like more like a normal mint, kind of what people know and expect from NFTs, where it's going to be like the certain wallets who are allow listed each get their one mint, and it's just at the normal price. Everyone has the same 0.1 ETH price to mint, and it'll be like 12 hours or something like that. And all the allow lists are basically allocated to either people who have been really active in the llama community, like people who have made really great llama art and has been get their llamas included in the collection, who have like followed our Midjourney tags, and we've had some contests and stuff to get those spots out. And then the other 100 or so allow list spots are going to people who have been in the ecosystem and community for years. So it's like developers from different protocols that are in the ecosystem. I mean, you can name 1,000 of them off. Redacted, Convex, Paladin, all the Pyrex stuff here that's redacted. But going on Stake DAO, Yearn, the list goes on. But some of those devs, Liquidity, are getting one allow list, and then just people who have been promoting and pioneering the ecosystem on social media and stuff like that for years, and people have been writing threads and stuff like that. So big proponents, people are really active and long-term believers in the DeFi ethos. And so that's kind of the small allow list, which is going to be somewhere around 10-15% of the mint. And then the next phase is the whitelisters. And this is where we get into the unusual, more innovative stuff that we're kind of taking a page out of the Nouns book and forking some of their code too, and using an auction mechanic. And part of the thing is with the auction, we don't know, nobody knows exactly what each llama is going to sell for. But because the team isn't taking a big cut, any cut really, of the mint or anything like that, whether the llama in an auction is sold for 0.1, 0.2, 0.5, 1 ETH, whatever it is, it's all going to the treasury to compound and turn into that 100% real yield, and the vote to be used, in the Curve ecosystem for the betterment of all. And so the first thing outside of the allow list following it up is the whitelist auction. And so in the whitelist auction, we're still figuring out the exact numbers, but it's going to be something like, say, 20 llamas a day, something like that, for a week or two. And we're going to have somewhere mid 120, 150, something like that. It depends on the rollover from the allow list. But 100, X llamas, 10-15% of the supply is going to go through that whitelist auction. And everyone who's whitelisted, which are hundreds of people who have either won contests, like our meme contests, or just been active in the Discord, participated in raffles, listened to different AMAs, and won a spot through that. All those people are going to be able to mint or place a bid in the whitelist auction. And it's following the Noun style. So say maybe it's like a 24-hour chunk for 20 llamas at a time. You can place your bid, and then the top bid at the end of that 24 hours wins that llama. And everyone's going to have a chance. It's going to go through 100 llamas over a couple weeks, so people are going to kind of get to see what the general floor is, and put their bid in at 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 ETH or whatever, and hopefully win a llama. And that whitelist auction is going to start at 0.1 ETH, floor for the bidding. And I guess the thing about that, obviously, it doesn't guarantee you're going to mint one, but because we're trying to make the mechanics, semi anti-whale, so everyone has a chance. So like you can only mint, even if, a whale comes in and they're in the whitelist auction, they max out at 2 wins. So even if someone has 100 ETH and they come into the whitelist auction, the most they can grab are 2 of those, whatever, 100x llamas. So everyone, will have a decent chance of getting one. And since it's a smaller, chunk of people, a couple hundred in the whitelist, it's gonna, you're competing with less people. And once those 100, 150 or so whitelist llamas go in that auction, then we'll go on to the public auction, which will be the remaining like 60% of the llamas. And that will be the same mechanic, same auction mechanic. It'll be like something like 20 a day, every 24 hours, something like that, over a number of weeks until they're all minted out. And the public auction, unlike the whitelist, has no limit. So, you know, if a whale has 1,000 ETH or 100 ETH or whatever, and they want to buy, you know, 10 or 20 in the auction, they can. So the whitelist really protects people to try and get a couple. Where once you go to the public, you're competing against, you know, everyone on the blockchain, not just the few hundred people in the whitelist. And it's, you know, unlimited potential wins, and the floor starts at 0.2 instead of 0.1. But one thing is, we think the floor doesn't really matter that much with the auction style. I mean, if the floor is set at like kind of 0.3 from all the auctions and everything from the whitelist, you know, you can kind of guarantee that they're probably going to be 0.32 as well in the public. And, you know, and people will be able to trade on the secondary market while the auction's still going on. So maybe there'll be some difference there where people, you know, they're bidding on whatever they want, you know. But if a really cool llama, a really cool image or something, or one of the special llamas, I think somewhere around 3, 4, maybe 5% of the supply of the llamas are going to be like these special llamas that give you an extra boost, and they're going to all be kind of linked to these different protocols. So you can see already, like on our social media, like some llamas have frac symbols in their eyes, or the stake DAO, you know, elephant kind of theme, or these different themes going on, redacted with the redacted eyes and stuff like that, or you know, different hats, llama Air Force captain and things like that. And those llamas are going to kind of be the uniques and give you an extra boost. And so maybe one of those is on the secondary market while people are still, you know, going through the auction, and that has, you know, a much higher price or something. So people will be able to buy that if they really want to, you know, an OpenSea or Blur or SudoSwap or anything like that. So the whole process is definitely different than a normal mint that people are used to, where, you know, the mint is 8 hours long and then it mints out, and then there's like some type of pump and dump over a couple weeks on OpenSea, and then the project's dead. And you know, that's like the antithesis of the opposite of what we want, because first off, you know, the auction's going for a month, and then second is like there's actual you can kind of put an actual price space to the llama based on the treasury, since each llama owns, you know, that equal share of the multi-sig treasury and everything. It's like, well, if we have, you know, grants from all these different teams that are locked in perpetuity to create yield, and then all the ETH from the auctions are all going to run the curve flywheel, and you can say, okay, whatever, there's, you know, 500 ETH in the treasury value, each llama, you know, is 1/1000th of that. So it creates this kind of base utility floor underneath the PFP and future, you know, use case floor for the llamas. So it's, of course, you know, the art is cool, and, you know, the PFPs, we hope everyone's going to be rocking them on Twitter and Discord and everything, and they're going to be integrated into all these DeFi apps, so you can see your llama when you log in, you know, Llama Air Force or wherever you may be. But you know, on top of that, it's more just like the key to get into the real utility. So it's definitely trying to make this bridge between NFT and DeFi in a way that hasn't exactly been done before, or it's been done, you know, to an extent, like through the GMX Blueberry Club, but we're trying to bring it to another level.
Nice. So now I don't know if you saw some of the questions rolling in the chat. I feel like it's worth addressing. So there are some questions about what happens if you're bidding in an auction and you get overbid, or every new bid you have to pay new gas.
Yeah. So I can hop in because I'm chatting about this right now. Yeah. So like nouns, you will pay gas to bid, but the each auction takes time. So like I'm hopefully that like allows to have cheap bids, to be able to get in a gas perspective. So like we're trying to avoid a big gas war here, and we think the best way to get around that is just to like allow for some time for each of them. You know, obviously it will, if there's two interested parties, you know, there might be some quick transactions happening, but Panda was just about to jump in, so I'll hand it off to him.
Yeah, I spoke to Rask, our dev, about what he expects the cost to be per bid, and I think it was at 40 Gwei, it was, a couple of dollars. So it should be reasonably affordable. And then there's a timer on, so if somebody bids in the last minute, which we're expecting, then the auction is extended by 5 minutes until they stop bidding against each other. So you'll still have time to get your bid through if you really want to bid and gas spikes or it goes down. So yeah, it's it's less than we expected actually, but I think that's just from the Viper development, from the Viper coding.
I was just about to
Keep it
say
really efficient.
the Viper effect is real.
Yeah, the Viper effect is real, right?
So, yeah, I've really enjoyed talking a lot about Viper. I don't know how much other people are interested in it, but it's sort of the real deal. Like, in addition to the contracts being, really clear to read, like when I was looking over what Rask had sent me, it was very obvious what the contracts had in them. And what's really cool about this is there's only a small handful of Viper NFTs out there. So this is very likely. I don't think it's like a stretch to guess that this is likely going to be the biggest Viper NFT launch in history. The previous one being my current profile picture of the NPCers. But I might have to change it to the llamas to once that goes live, if I'm able to get one. That is. Is it too late for people who want to get in the whitelist, or there's still whitelist slots you're giving out?
I think there's still a few whitelist spots going. I mean, allow lists we've given them all away for now. Um, but there should still be a few contests going. PK, is that right? I think there's probably a couple
Yeah,
more
yeah,
before
yeah.
we launch. Yeah.
So, first to alleviate crv.mktcap's worry, he's definitely getting a llama. I think he's on the allow list as a satellite team member here with all of his Viper help and looking over our contracts and everything and promoting
Generational
and being an
wealth.
early llama. Yeah. But yeah, for the whitelist, yeah, there's still some opportunities. For anyone who hasn't checked this out, check out our Twitter. We just had a meme contest a couple days ago, and we gave out, I think, our final allow list to the #1 winner, and then 9 more whitelist spots to all the runners up there. So there aren't as many opportunities as there were a month or two ago, but there's still some. And just being really, if you come in and you're really active in the Discord and are active in the community, you can just earn a whitelist if we see your name popping up all the time. Write a couple threads on Twitter explaining what we do, just things like that, and we can see if we can get some more whitelists out just for people doing good ethos, goodwill things. But I'm sure we're gonna have a couple more, little small random raffles here and there too, where people can grab a whitelist. So the opportunities are still there, and there's only a couple of weeks left here. But yeah, we definitely want to get the potential to get in that early auction to anybody who's really involved in the community.
Nice, nice. And then let's talk a bit about the tokenomics, because you have these big plans for all the funds, the funds that are used for purchasing the llamas to get kind of go back into supporting the flywheel. What specifically are your plans regarding that?
Well,
Maybe Panda.
yeah. So I mean, what we're doing at the moment now is like reaching out to various parties throughout like the Curve eco, with the goal of fundraising that's separate from what we raise through the mint. And this kind of helps us to decentralize our treasury from the outset so that we're not kind of aligned just to one protocol. Um, and then what we'll do is with the mint costs, we're going to kind of separate them accordingly into the fundraising, into the thing, into yield bearing tokens. And until we launch badges, which I'd call it kind of Llamas V2, now this is just a simple like NFT PFP for V1. As we roll out badges, then we'll start to pay out our yield. So the treasury at the outset will just be pounding, yeah, just like, trying to harvest and scoop as much um, cheap protocol tokens that we can, and then as the market changes and as we grow and scale, then we can start like kicking back the yield. So at the moment, yeah, the Treasury tokenomics is just to be as active and harvest as much as possible.
I can add just a tiny bit onto that is, when you're thinking about like the floor value of a llama, one really cool thing, again, because we're not, taking 20% for the team or anything like that. Um, say, you spend 0.1 or 0.2 ETH for a llama and all that ETH is going to the treasury. So right there, your llama still has that value to it. But on top of that, because we are getting grants from different people in the ecosystem and, setting up ways for these different protocols to have badge integration with them for using their protocols and things like that. All of these grants we're getting that we're locking up for more yield, you can think of that on, value going to your llama as well. So right away, the treasury is going to be worth more than the base value of the llama that you pay for it before, any floor changes. So that's one thing I think is really cool.
And have you picked where that first destination for the treasury is going to be? Because I imagine with so many different kind of like players in the ecosystem, like imagine Staked Out probably wants a piece, Aladdin probably wants a piece, Convex probably wants a piece. Are you going to be dividing it up equally? Or are you going to just decide later through multi-sig? Like who gets to compound the treasury for you?
The treasury will be compounded by a multi-sig, which has got two of us from the team on, and then three well-known faces, which would be Tommy Genesis, the founder of Votium. Then you've got Fiddy, who many people will know from his early days at the Risk team, VE Funder, and he's now working at Curve. And then there's Nose as well, who's from the Risk team too, like very, very well known. So that's how that will play out. I think at the outset, like we wanted our main treasury asset to be convex curve. The liquidity is great. The ability to be able to, take profits just on the 3 CRV and keep on relocking and compounding the governance tokens, especially with the new wrapper, is really handy. I mean, in the future, I can see it though with grants that will kind of probably move to the path of splitting it relatively equally and try and maintain this kind of neutral position throughout the curve eco and not be heavily sided with one protocol.
Yeah, and then that creates, this is a pretty good opportunity to talk about V2 as well. Once we get the badges and the marketplace kind of all clicked in place and it's all like working great. The plan is to make the contracts immutable, and then apply to get a whitelist, and then have the Llama's contract actually have the curve locked.
Yeah, that would be great. That's definitely a long-term goal of ours, and would bring a lot more legitimacy and put us on like more of an even playing field with these big stable dollar protocols, which we're obviously not a protocol in that sense, and we're not trying to money grab in any way. We're not like issuing any token in the future. The Llama is our token. We've stated that a number of times where when you want to people think about whatever the future airdrop or whatever there is, it's like the Llama is the token. There is no other token. We're not here to try and vampire attack anybody. We're here really to promote the entire ecosystem and the flow and onboarding and gamifying the overall experience.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, excited to see how it goes. Hope that I can do my best to kind of try and help promote it once it goes live. Just because obviously I have no financial stake in it. Just wanna see it be super successful. Let's talk a bit about the artwork, because when I had last week's Llama party IRL in Denver, One of the things I did was I printed out a bunch of the llama art that I found from the Discord and Twitter, and just put it on like some nice paper and used it to hope. I was hoping I could like decorate the set with it, but instead just handed it out to people. And some people had seen the llama art. Some people have been following the project closely. Some had never seen it before, but all of them were just like, "Wow, this artwork is amazing." So could you talk a bit about the kind of process that you go through to generate the llama artwork?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. It's definitely different than like most of the other projects out there. Like most people know, it's like you take a couple Photoshop layers and then you put some random algorithm on it and you print out 9,000 of them or whatever. And we're very opposite of that, where each one is kind of handmade and well with AI. So that's the cool thing too, is we're connected into everyone's like cryptoverse AI, or there's some funny stuff going on Twitter and whatever. And we really integrated AI into this. We're using Midjourney, if anyone knows Midjourney, to generate these llamas. And so I spent a lot of time creating the really specific like prompt list. So there's like a chain of 12, specific key phrases you put in together to create this, llama portrait look. And one of the really cool things about that, although yeah, it's really time consuming and maybe sometimes you have to generate 20 llamas to get that one right llama for that, specific look you're going for. But because we're using Midjourney and not these Photoshop layers, anybody who uses the right prompt chain and puts in the time can make like a proper looking llama that matches the rest of the collection. And because of that, we were able to have some contests where the actual community's art is in the project. So something about like maybe 15% of the llamas, that are going to hit the chain of the 1,111, maybe 100, 150 of those or so are actually from people in the community who submitted in some of our earlier llama generation contests and stuff like that. And so it's like a whole nother level of bringing the community into the project, where all these NFT projects talk about community and blah, 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 and most of them don't mean it. It's like we're taking it a whole nother step where, legitimately you can mint your own llama or chase it down in the secondary market, and your art, is part of the project on chain, forever. And that's one of the really cool things I like about it.
Yeah, to me, what's really cool too is a lot of the premise of this project is to create this like anonymous like workforce, um part of our process to launch the project is beginning to create this workforce, and it's actually happening around us, and the creation of the llamas is one of those moments that we're now beginning to develop in our communities, like some incredibly talented like AI artists, and it's really cool to watch it happen.
Yeah, I think also we've had like shout out to like one of our OG artists, Ron, like right now for some of the fundraising, like I'm just giving some examples to like different protocols of like specials, for like redacted or whatever. And, that's like the community members helping out building these things like from the very beginning, which is super cool.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I should add on. Outside of, I mean, of course, it's in Midjourney, but outside of Midjourney, I and a number of other, community OG artist members are taking some of these llamas, bringing them into Photoshop to, clean them up a little more even after the Midjourney render, and then we're using, Photoshop and some other tools to customize. So, like Panda was just saying, that's how we're able to make, these special, even more special specific llamas for the different protocols. So each of the protocols kind of in the Curve ecosystem have somewhere from, say 1 to 4 llamas that kind of represent them, have their symbols somehow integrated into the llama, whether it's like a badge or a hat or um, some type of tattoo or whatever it is, uh, using, hours in Photoshop to bring it to a whole nother level here.
I think as well, like one of the unique points about the collection is that from the 1111, they are all one-to-ones, right? There's no specialty kind of like trait ranking system where it's, 0.5 have got these eyes and 3% are wearing a hat. It's not been done that way. And then with the added layers from the community, bringing in all of these extra artists into it as well, just, it's all got the same kind of theme, but there are 1,111 standalone pieces, which is really cool.
And
Yeah,
then
100%.
nice. And then can you talk a bit for those who haven't gotten to play too much with AI image generation, how you decided on Mid-Journey over some of the other tools? I know there's like a bunch of tools out there now, but as you point out in the chat, you're all max long Mid-Journey. Like what? How's like why Mid-Journey over Dolly or some of the others?
The Midjourney doesn't have a token, but I'd be really long if there was one.
Well, maybe you can release one for them.
Oh boy. Yeah, we'll just build a layer on top of them. Why not? No, there's so many of different like AI art generation programs now. There's like it seems like there's a new one coming out every month or two. But when we were first starting half a year ago, kind of the main three were Stable Diffusion, Dolly, and Midjourney, and they kind of all excel at different things and stuff. But Midjourney is in a way it's the most customizable, and the one that can like kind of get you the same look over and over. Uh, it's just like Stable Diffusion is really good for more realistic, like certain kind of human characteristics and stuff like that. But like trying to get this kind of more 3D cartoon, Unreal Engine kind of realistic vibe, Midjourney is like the only thing that could continuously generate the same style with the right prompts over and over.
Nice. Well, fortunately, since we're not like there's no like rating on this chat, so we can get into some risque or more risque topics. Puffer asks if Mid-Journey would be useful for feet pick selling business.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
I know who we could ask that to.
if Midjourney does block like I know there are some like waifu AI art generators that will get more risque R rated, but Midjourney will like kind of block you. It won't it won't let you make X rated stuff. And we're not trying to do that, but it does let you make some pretty cool still like semi scantily clad anime stuff. And so a lot of people know the Llama Waifu art that we've had on Twitter and stuff like that. And um, I see some people talking about that in the chat here. And so it's too far down the road to like lock anything in 100%. But we're thinking like, someday, maybe in half a year or something like that, once, after our badge system is live and everything else is kind of running, the main, the workforce entities and everything, that we might have, that second derivative kind of project or mint. Like people know most of the blue chip things, like the ape ecosystem had the Kennel Club and the Mutant Apes and all of that, and like the Zukis have their beans and on and on. So our secondary kind of mint down the line may be some Llama waifus, and we're not exactly sure. It's going to be more fun. It's not going to have as much utility like the llamas, but it'll probably be something like everyone who holds a llama gets either one mint or like a ticket into the raffle to mint a llama waifu, and those waifus will probably act like a super boosted badge for your yield or something like that. But yeah, people are definitely asking every day about them.
That's interesting. That's cool to hear because I noticed that switch in the art style, and I thought that I actually thought that the final mint was just going to be the waifus because they'd been so popular.
Yeah, we'd have no problem minting those out.
So, very cool, very cool. Any other kind of thoughts or comments or anything that you want to mention about the Llama project that we haven't gotten into?
Yeah, maybe a little bit about like kind of the reputational system. I think that's like quite a cool thing, you know, that this idea that originally the Llamas was just going to be like an NFT, PFP, but now we're kind of building it to be that it's kind of going to be your, or it will be if everything works, your on-chain avatar, which you can, you know, you can take with you, so you can see it, like you go onto Llama Air Force, you look in the Pounder, and you know there's your llama looking back at you. Or it could be, you know, for other things. I think it's happened a couple of times recently where I've known people who wanted to do on-chain work. One example was for the Llama Risk team, and they were asked to provide previous like analytical journalism examples that they'd done, and they didn't want to doc. So they were kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like they couldn't show the work that they'd previously done, you know, and this is a kind of a thing that Llama solves. You can write a piece, it gets published on Mirror, so we can verify it on chain, and they claim the badge, and then they can use that to approach, you know, it could be, for example, we use Llama Risk. They want to write for Llama Risk, and they can show their badge, and then it's verifiable on chain what somebody has done previously. So we build this on-chain talent pool that can be verified at all times. It gives access from protocols, from startups, looking in for people to do and complete actions, but also it enables llamas themselves to access the possibility of kind of starting their DeFi career or expanding on it further, you know. And I think that's like a pretty unique thing that we're offering.
I think
Yeah,
that's
and
really like the big thing.
Yeah.
yeah, I think in this current world that we're in as well, I think there's a power to being able to be anon, and contributing to these protocols in a positive way. So these badges will help, you know, like they will help you create opportunity as you you know, just kind of explore and contribute, but they will also create trust, which is, I think, pretty cool. And I'm really excited to be able to talk about this. Like more, we're close to a publishing our next piece on it, and yeah, I think this is going to be an absolute blast.
And also to like when you were asking about NFT projects earlier that we kind of took inspiration from, I think one thing that we did, maybe I wouldn't call it an NFT project, is the Gen Score, right? Where you can check what somebody's done in the past and your ranks and things, and it's super cool. Like everyone likes it, but it's retroactive. And I think what's cool about llamas is that it looks forward. You know, it's the badges are deployed for actions that you can complete. It's the action looking forward rather than solely retroactively, which is a, you know, it's a nuance but a pretty big one.
Yeah, like there's two sides of it that's really two more sides of it that are really cool. Is like in the future it won't just be like us, you know, the team. It's gonna be decentralized coming up with the badges. So like I know some of our team members already, you know, are in talks with different other protocols, like Paladin, for instance, who has a quest system. They'll be able to, you know, say, hey, we want to issue a badge, you know, after you complete, you know, X number of Paladin quests, and it'll boost stuff related to us and, you know, in our own protocol and things like that. So different protocols will either ask, you know, for us to make a badge, or eventually more decentralized, be able to kind of submit their own through kind of a whitelisting process to say, hey, you know, we're a new stable dollar protocol or whatever it is, you know, interact with us, complete certain tasks, and you know, earn this badge. And another kind of side of it that's so cool is like the actual DeFi infrastructure innovation. You know, and it is, you know, it's all an experiment, and part of that makes it so exciting is like I know months ago when we were still thinking all this up, crv.cap was like talking about how with Viper code, not just, you know, the whole idea hasn't been done in this exact way, and especially not with Viper code where we're using ERC 1155s, POAPs people know, but we're making it in a way where we're kind of making our own soul-bound entity here, where you earn them by having a llama and then completing the tasks, but the badges themselves are not transferable. They're linked to your wallet forever. They're bound to it. You can't sell it. You can't get rid of it. And so it's like this immutable way to prove your on-chain identity and your skill sets for years to come. And even if you have to sell your llama at some point in the future or whatever happens, you're going to have those badges proving that you did that GitHub commit or you wrote that article or whatever it is. And then in the jobs board, in the future, maybe it'll be like, hey, we want to hire a full-time PR person, and you've proven that you've written articles or whatever. Or it could be little tasks like, hey, we just want someone to look at a little bit of code or write a single article or whatever, and you can apply, whether it's just like a one-time weekend job or like a longer-term thing. We're going to be able to create that new identity layer that everyone's going to be able to tap into.
Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. Anything else on llamas that we missed before we start zooming back to the bigger picture?
Yeah, I think the idea is like from the user like the llama holder themselves, there's all of these incentives for them, like they get the badge, they boost their yields, etc. But from a protocol side, we've got like the potential to like bootstrap, complete on-chain action, etc. It can be targeted like both ways. If you look at like the current kind of bribes market and incentives, it's all targeted at kind of gauge weight. This is targeted at specific on-chain action. So that can be like protocol size, like for every llama, and the incentive can be split correspondingly, or it can be things like PK said with, content creation bundles. So the scope of what we can offer in both directions, I think, is pretty large.
Yeah, it's so cool. I don't know that I've seen other kind of NFT projects with such big ambitions to actually build out such utility.
Yeah, I don't think it would work in many other places. If it's going to work, it's going to be the Curve Eco, because it's just so aligned and layers upon layers building upon one another and being so interlinked. So, and kind of all the underlying asset is Curve at the end of the day, CRV. So it's a system that lends itself to this kind of, this layer system. And I think we're just trying to build on top of that in another branch and link them all together. So we're in the best place for it to work.
Part of it is like benefiting the whole Curve ecosystem, and then in the wider DeFi and Ethereum ecosystem is like I think it's 5% of our flywheel yield is earmarked for like nonprofit kind of stuff, because of course we're going to airdrop majority of it, almost all of it, to the llamas. We're going to use a little bit to be able to help fund these other things. So like for instance, Solidity is way ahead of Viper in the sense of having so many more active developers and like more money flowing in to make Solidity a better language and stuff like that. And so we want to do things, in the pretty near future, once we're all launched, like being able to use a little bit of funding of our yield to run regular Viper hackathons, and put a little bit of money towards creating toolkits for Viper and stuff like that. That people are like, why are you going to waste money on that? In one sense, they with a small picture, but the bigger picture, of course, is like, well, if you can make more languages accessible and easier to use, and of course the security is number one, make it safer, then that's going to help the entire DeFi infrastructure and the Curve ecosystem and everyone in the long term.
Absolutely, it's a fantastic goal. So let's talk a bit about just the concept of the llama. Would you say that the llama is like specifically a curve thing, or a curve and DeFi llama thing, or is it sort of like expanded beyond just curve to take on a life of its own? Like, who owns the llama?
I think that the llama kind of I, I think it kind of came out of Curve, at least. That was my first time crossing paths with it. Was in the Curve uh, uh, Telegram as uh, OX Chad like it launched the Curve DAO. So that was probably the promised land of just like quality llama memes, and I think it kind of came out of that moment and that community of it's this like a mascot almost of just like aligned building with the right ethos at least in my opinion, and this might get me rugged, but like if I come across a llama, I kind of just trust it.
Yeah, I think like the llamas have over time, especially over the last year or two, kind of expanded beyond just like the Curve ecosystem. Of course, everyone knows DeFi Llama, um, who has some connection to the original Curve founders and whatnot, starting the nonprofit, the company that then funds DeFi Llama in like a free for all way and stuff like that. But now I think the Llama, we've talked about this before, like how there's in DeFi and in crypto and stuff, there are the Pepes, and then the penguins, the llamas, all these different kind of creatures and characters. And I think the llamas kind of stand in general in DeFi like the top quality engineering, the good for all, the most positive ethos, like the non PvP, more the PvE creature, the friendly creature that is all about security and DeFi empowerment. And so we're definitely want to like expand that ethos and build on it.
When I think of the llama like mascot throughout the eco, I think of made in Germany. I just think of like high quality building, right? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the story I heard was that just Kendrick Lamar liked llamas, and that kind of got the whole thing snowballing. So I hope, hopefully, you're able to give him some, yeah, some whitelist spot or allow list spot or something.
Yeah, yeah, Kenrick's
Yeah,
definitely on that. Kenrick's definitely on our
he's
list.
on the
I
list.
mean,
Yeah.
he's on the list, and like, what a privilege to have this whole like meme after you. Um, yeah, I mean, I know. It's just kind of like it's become crazy, right? How spread out this has become. I mean, recently, the Risk team just rebranded to Llama Risk, and you've got Llama Core, DeFi Llama, like everything. But I think, uh, it's all kind of positive, some uh, community ethos projects like working together. So, I think it's great for us to build on top of that and now put that into a PFP project that's going to be around as well. So we'll see a lot more llamas.
Yeah, I think the legend of the llama is only going to be going up from here. So let's zoom out even a little bit further. So of course it's been a rough few days in the markets. Both TradFi and DeFi. And I think a lot of people are like when you get into these kind of bear markets, because we're now like over a year probably into this bear market, and a lot to cause a lot of people to sort of like reevaluate like why are we here? What are like the core principles that have attracted us to the space? Have any of you, and this is open to any of the Llama team or just anyone who just popped in the voice chat, just why are you all here? Like, what does crypto still mean to you? Um, and has that changed at all over the course of this kind of prolonged bear market?
Yeah, I mean, at least, uh, like, to me, I believe that, this, like, these are the times where you have to know what you're actually, um, I'm holding. There's like none of these like vaporware projects that you want to be holding on to at this point. But at least to me, I believe that like permissionless liquidity is one of those huge potential leaps in how we kind of do things right now. And I believe that Curve is one of the pioneers of that like ethos, and that we've this might be the moment of like and then everybody fights us, but I personally believe it's a pretty unstoppable concept, and it's a huge upgrade of what we have, and allowing anybody to access these tools and be a part of the like a liquidity is, it's an important concept to protect.
Yeah, like jumping in on that is like everything is kind of correcting or crashing a little bit more right now in the last couple of days with the TradFi banking stuff or whatever. Just cryptos is basically tracking the TradFi world right now. It's like wind decoupling, but in a way, it's good for the llamas because the lower curve goes, and the more of it we can buy with our with all the ETH that we get from the mint, and it's like curve is hopefully over this next half year kind of putting in a generational low, because in the wider ecosystem of DeFi, it's like stable dollars. Ethereum, of course, runs the security and the contracts, but you need that stable dollar liquidity so people can get in and out and pair and borrow and collateralize. And Curve is the basically unarguable home of stable liquidity. Whenever there's a new stable dollar launching, Curve is the launch pad because it's the only place where they can use incentives through the governance, through the gauge votes to to peg their newly formed stable dollar. And being attached here into the Curve ecosystem, it's like the very heart of DeFi. And hopefully, Curve USD takes another month to launch because we're pretty sure Curve will probably go up after the launch there. The lower and longer the Curve token price is down for us is a good thing, that we can fill our treasury, max it out over the next couple of months here before things start going up again and people start to come back to this space and stuff. And it's like everyone who's left still in it right now is a long-term believer. Like most of the grifters have been shaken out and are looking at other things, and we're able to double our conviction on what we believe in, and really load up the treasury and maximize the long-term potential for all of the llama holders here.
I think like that, going to that like bigger picture question again though, for me it was like this idea of self-custody, but also like society as a whole, like being able to take responsibility for what you do. And when your assets are stored somebody else and there's no transparency, you don't really know what's going on. It's just this is kind of trust me, bro aspect to it. DeFi really solves that problem. Now, of course, like you have to learn how to do it. Maybe you're lucky enough to find somebody to help you, and there's a lot of elements of trying, learning by doing. But you are able to take your own control over things, and I think that's you're not reliant on somebody else. Okay, there's the contract, but for me, that was what really pulled me into this, was this kind of this almost like anarchy towards the current system that we have, but in a productive way. And then, you look at the last crashes that we had a few months ago, and the kind of DeFi protocol survived it. And, everything's there. It's on chain, it's verifiable. And they're surviving, and, black banks and centralized lenders and things are blowing up left, right, and center. So, um, I think it's important that we move to a system where this kind of human need of trust is kind of greatly reduced and it's more contract based.
Yeah, I'd agree with all those points. I would also add one, which I think is really cool, which is the kind of capability of, or like within the like cryptocurrency Web3 ecosystem, there seems to be this like acceptance of anonymous identities. Like there's some people like all of you who choose to be mostly or fully anonymous and can still team up and participate and be part of this kind of broader community, along with people like me who are dumb and dox themselves. Um, and means I'm probably just going to be arrested probably much before all of you.
A little
But
bit faster. Yeah.
but at least I'll have a Llama NFT to keep me warm in the prison cell. But I think that's just like really a cool thing because not everyone wants to like be very public with their identities. There's lots of good reasons people like to stay private. And the fact that kind of private people can still contribute and build and launch amazing things and participate on teams, I think that's like a really nice thing for the culture. And then on top of it, like it also within the kind of a non-community, I've definitely talked with people who feel like they have like a because of their like gender or racial background, they don't feel like they could as easily participate. But when you're completely anon, it's like all those things get blurred, and everyone is just like who you are, what you contribute. So it's really like a cool thing, I think.
Oh yeah,
100%.
for sure. Yeah, and just I think all that's really true, and it's there's I think there's also this truth that just because like crypto is really a new that all of us have kind of tripped into it, and I think that this anon uh culture, like abstracts all that out. Like, who cares what like college you went to or your professional group or your like the like a language you speak, you know, like as we can like extrapolate on that, like you just have to be able to contribute. And I think I think it's like a really powerful part of a crypto that like no other industry has.
Yeah, Hawthorne and I had been speaking about this before, and with this kind of a non-culture, you can, in a way, build a true meritocracy. It's what criteria, what you can do and what you have done, rather than what languages you speak, who you know, and what your background is. So there's something kind of like really, really idealistic about that as well, which I find, really attractive and inspiring.
Big time. It's like in the normal world when you're job hunting and stuff, like I've been doing, it's like they only care who's on your who's on your resume and what school you went to. They don't really care if you have the knowledge because they're like, oh, you're a risk. Yeah, you know a lot, but you don't have all the connections. And in here, in this space, it's like it's what you know, what you've done. It's more on your mind and your commitment rather than your past. And in the whole world, too many people are focused on who your father was or your eye color, whatever it is, and like that stuff doesn't really matter. We're all human. It's like what can you contribute to the future, and I think crypto really maximizes that idea.
Is there anything that you'd like to see the Ethereum space evolve towards? Like anything that's sort of not quite there yet within Ethereum or other cryptocurrencies that you think would be nice for Ethereum to push in the direction of?
Well, I was worried for a while about the kind of the OFAC compliant blocks, that was just growing and growing and growing, and that was like really setting off alarm bells personally. But I've been following that, and that's rapidly decreasing. So if that was to start climbing again, then yeah, then I think that'd be cause for concern. But that was my major worry at the moment.
Yeah, the what kind of jumps out to me, and you know, I think this is just like part of the moment crypto's in, but like I would love to see a decrease in tribalism in internally, you know, because we have a larger uh, uh, colossuses to try to take down that we don't need to be battling amongst our own community so much.
Well put. Are there any kind of specific projects, be it around the flywheel or elsewhere, that you're really keeping your eye on? Could be NFT projects, DeFi projects, just anything.
Yeah, well, really quickly, I'll just say like one thing we're looking forward to, hopefully in the future. I mean, it's not going to be right away, but you know, a number of months down the line is like this crossover of NFT and DeFi. You know, that's hopeful that's continuing to grow and you know really starting to expand in the last couple of months. Like I see people who I know have been DeFi maxis for years, and on the other side, people have only ever traded NFTs, and they're both starting to get interested in the other side. And you know, the NFTers who aren't really into DeFi are finally like, hey, how can I collateralize my NFT? How can I get yield and stuff like that? So one project that's in the Curve ecosystem, JPEG, you know, they let you they own so much Curve and Convex themselves, so they're able to juice up their own yield with their PE synthetic ETH. But you know, you can over collateralize so many blue chip NFTs, and it's fully decentralized. So you know, if you own JPEG, you can create a proposal and say, hey, I want to add my NFT to the platform. And so you know, if our llamas are eventually you know worth a little bit, we'd love to submit a PIP and partner up and get one more like level of the flywheel going where people can still earn their badges and everything, but they can also collateralize their llama. So you know, not that people have to, but it's like one more cool thing where people can, you know, take a llama or two, collateralize them, borrow some PETH, and then throw that back into the Curve Convex, you know, whatever Frax ecosystem, and get more yield on top of the llama yield, on top of the JPEG yield, you know, et cetera, and like continue the flywheel and continue the social integration. And I think you know collateralizing NFTs is a really kind of novel, new, and innovative space. So we'd love to set up some stuff like that in the future.
Yeah,
Any
just to
cons
play off of what PK was just talking about, I recently came across. I mean, like Panda told me about it, like I don't know, like 8 months ago, and I was like, yeah, okay, Panda. But there's this protocol called a gumball that allows you to collateralize on top of like LP pools, and I think that you know there could be some like a really cool tools built on top of a curve that can use you know potentially if we can get some of the correct kind of LP pools like rolling, you could then potentially just collateralize on top of that uh, pool there and go straight into Curve US dollar.
Nice. So you have your Curve
You know,
USD strategy all ready to go.
yeah,
When
that's my you know, Elon hitting the joint on the Joe Rogan kind of a moment. So don't like I don't know I don't know how long that will be, but there's some really cool tools out there that I'd love to see come to Curve.
Yeah, I think Curve USD is going to open so many possibilities, being able to like collateralize a try crypto position to borrow CRV USD and collateralize different LPs and stuff. And I know, you know, a number of different protocols are all kind of working on this, and that's kind of like what I view as one of the next things that DeFi hasn't really fully solved yet or still on the edge of innovating is being able to like collateralize LPs, whether it's like an ETH curve pair or a Llama CRV-USD pair or whatever it is. But like on top of that, more to like what our treasury is doing is the treasury itself is going to own a small portion of the llama. So it's like when your llama is going to own 1/10 of another llama or something through the treasury. But what we're going to be able to do is use some of the llamas that the treasury is owning itself to create extra liquidity. Because one thing about JPEGs that everybody knows, especially like the higher in blue chips and stuff, is that liquidity can be scarce sometimes to try and sell whatever your ape or punk or Azuki or whatever it is. It's like there aren't as many buyers and sellers for those higher tier more expensive things. So we'd love to run whether we have a couple, whether it's like llamas paired with curve USD, in a curve pool in the future, something like that, more innovative. Or what we can do right now already is as once we launch and a floor is established and stuff, we can create one or two pseudo swap pairs where people will have liquidity to buy and sell llamas through the treasury's own pool of say 20 or 30 llamas paired with some ETH, and there's a swap fee on either side of that, and then people can buy and sell into that, and all that extra juicy yield, which is pretty high. It all it obviously depends on the amount of swaps and everything, and the TVL versus the volume and all of that. But looking at pseudo swap for other pairs, be it like penguins or beans or whatever, the treasury should probably be yielding pretty decent APRs running this pool that in a way we're helping the community have this extra liquidity that doesn't exist for a lot of projects, and then secondary any yield that's coming from that is going to go back to the treasury to compound to airdrop. So it's like just one more little yield on top of our grants, on top of our normal flywheel.
Are you at all concerned when you start to mix NFTs with DeFi that Gary Gensler is going to come in and commit some casual llama slaughter?
Hopefully he's not that violent. Well, that's one nice thing about being anonymous, and the other thing is like if I worry too much about the future, then be paralyzed now in the present. So I can't control what Gary and his NPCs do. We can just innovate and hope for the best, and we're following the laws, we're paying our taxes. What more does he want?
And maybe all of the llamas can just have our own part of the prison block. We can be hanging out together doing a push-ups, crv.mktcap.
A few questions popped in the chat. Any governance token for llamas?
Yeah, I was saying yes to that, but I meant it as a joke. Your llama is your governance token, right? It is an NFT, but it's a token in its own right. We will.
Yeah, so I think this is a good opportunity, Panda, to talk about one llama, one vote within controlling the treasury and stuff. Can you?
Yeah. It's as Horst said, it's going to be like a simple mechanism of one llama, one vote. We're going to move towards voting with the deployment of badges. So we'll keep it simple. Between then, the treasury will just be compounding, and then we plan on moving towards like a full governance system. We want to like just get this thing grown out, running, and then decentralize it further, or start to decentralize it. But that's obviously a process. And your llama will then work as you can vote on where we send our yield. One thing we haven't mentioned about the badge system is you're incentivized like through the boosting system from the treasury. So we can kind of double fire hose targeted action. So what it means is that is there someone's thing on? Can you hear me? Is that cutting off?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No,
It does sound like someone's got some background noise.
Someone's here. Sorry.
Uver, if you could mute.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear anything there. Hold on. Yuba?
Let me see if I can mute them. All right, they're muted. Keep going.
Oh, wait, sorry, hello?
You're
They're
good.
not server
Yeah, man,
muted. It only muted for you.
Oh shoot. Well, it's great with from over here. There we go. Server mute. Try again.
Okay, so where was I now? Now I've got thrown. Yeah,
you
so
were talking about, yeah, the
the
two fire hoses.
yeah, with the two fire hoses, right? So we can kind of like partner up with projects, and we can do like special badges, for one epoch, for two epoch. They could be time weighted for further. So we can come at it like from both angles. On mine's, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cool. I don't want to read too much into it, but if you look at the screen here in Discord, when we started our chat, Bitcoin was at the bottom left. Now it's popped up to the upper right, so it looks like there's some excitement going on about the Llamas project. Is my interpretation of it.
Are
Yes,
we
boost.
the inverse up only?
Yeah, yeah. It's the first time that like one of these talks happens and the market goes up. So obviously, the Llama's got some good power. Um, some effing bot asks, does anyone have any thoughts about Silicon Valley Bank?
I don't own any.
I think it goes on to what Panda was talking about earlier is like being responsible for your own your own collateral and your own holdings and everything. And it's like um, in America, you're FDIC insured up to 250K, except yeah, you are, but then all the facts are whatever. The banks hold $30 trillion of the people, and less than $1 trillion of that is liquid. And when you're seeing the T-bill yield go up and the bond price go down from past T-bills that have been sold, these banks are in a precarious spot, and it's like I think Gary wanted to break something, and he finally is here, and maybe it's not what he intended to break. And I think the system is so complex, even for the most advanced full-time central banking people, that there's 1,000 variables, and the thing that you want to break might not be the thing that does break. And it's like all the banks are in such a better place than they were in 07 and 08, but because of this spike, the bonds that these people have bought for 1 or 2% interest years ago are demolished now, and they're facing these collateral issues and stuff. And that's one great thing about being on chain is everything's proven, everything is there in the public, and everyone can see the liquidation levels, how much of things people really hold. Or even if people aren't doing Ponzi bullshit stuff, it's like you can see still, just like these banks, if they're in illiquid assets or they're locked in these bonds that have lost value, you can see that they're going to be forced to be liquidated. Where in the traditional finance world, up until 2 days ago, when things finally hit the fan, nobody knew that they were underwater like this. And on chain, you can see, oh, they're underwater, a month, 2 months, 3 months ahead of time, and say, okay, this bank, yeah, they're following the laws and stuff, but because of the liquidity issues, maybe they're going to have trouble in the future. And nobody knows that when everything's private behind lawyers and stuff like that. Where on chain, everything's visible, and it should, in theory, make everything safer, especially when you have immutable contracts controlling it rather than shady bankers.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's pretty wild to me. Number of things. First of all, like I've been, saying for a long time, I think DeFi is probably a better bet than other destinations, and so far that's been 100%. I don't want to jinx it because like Curve could collapse tomorrow for all we know, and then we'll all, be flooding the market looking for new jobs or something. But like the way I see this is really the law of unintended consequences is undefeated, because we keep seeing the administration like try and like crack down on crypto, and it keeps having these unintended effects that I don't think they were expecting, right? Like they've been trying to kill crypto, and I've seen some reports that say Elizabeth Warren essentially instigated a run on Silvergate Bank to try and push this whole thing off. And then it ends up collapsing Silicon Valley Bank, which is going to hobble the tech sector, which is going to hobble the economy. And it's like, that's not what they're intending. They're trying to shoot crypto and shot themselves instead. Um, it's it's like that meme of the person in the bicycle that sticks the stick through the
God.
front wheel.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've,
so true. I, and I mean, I think that's what's really interesting about crypto, which a lot of politicians don't seem to grasp, is that it's all kind of math based, to where if the math isn't going to work, the protocol won't work, and it will kind of explode on its own. But that's not how the rest of the economy works, and it's a really interesting just to watch Congress talk about crypto and all of that, just because they totally do not grasp it.
Totally. It's like a trial by fire, and each thing, everything that survives is only getting stronger. It's like, math is the one, thing you can count on in the universe. And if the math is perfect, if like with the new curve USD liquidation mechanics and stuff, it's gonna make everything, it's like it's only can get better and better in a way that people can't mess up. There's no human that can can ruin it when the code is immutable. It's like you're trusting the math, and the math, is the key to the universe in a way.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing that's wild to me is like if the regulators kind of realized that this whole cryptocurrency thing is actually like a big win for America and stopped fighting it, I think that I think that they'd see a lot of allies from the crypto community. Like the crypto community, for example, is like really supportive of Hester Peirce at the SEC. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and how much easier is it going to be for them, in my estimation, to govern if they have like this huge group of people allied behind them, rooting for them and pushing for them, as opposed to having to fight like all these young people. So
Et Sylvia est passée à travers, elle a eu peur, du coup, ça a foutu un bordel pas possible. Elle est partie au courant, elle est partie.
Zelon010, I'm gonna have to mute you for a second.
I thought that was Hawthorne speaking Dutch.
I have all kinds of surprises.
Yeah, that's a
But
hidden
yeah, I
talent.
mean, I think it's really, yeah, I think that's a really great point, though, that you have like the planet's like smartest like coders and developers and like like all different kinds in this crypto space, and like a lot of them are creating these these digital dollars, and for some strange reason, like America just hates that. In my opinion, that's like one of the greatest like that's like one of the greatest that's like a great present that's just been um um handed to the US.
Yeah, you'd
It's
think they'd love it. Like, it's the first time in 50, 100 years that anyone's kind of challenging, the world reserve currency as the dollar, with some of the Saudis and oil, and then China and Russia starting to say, hey, we're going to, use other bases for not everything, but just, small natural gas trades or some oil and different things. And, the US obviously doesn't like that. And, fiat, it's backed by force, it's backed by nukes. Well, the US has a lot of nukes. It's not going to it's going to be the world reserve currency in a way for a while. But you'd think all like 99% of the stable dollars being pegged to the dollar rather than, the won or the euro or whatever it is. You think the U.S. would love that, and maybe they will, and they do. And of course, there's the whole CBDC thing. And I mean, I don't know anything, but my just assumption or guess in a way is that the USDC circle being centralized already in the US and stuff is kind of maybe will be semi-adopted as the CBDC rather than the whole government making their own in a way. And it's like, I don't know, all of DeFi seems to be really promoting the US dollar. I don't know why they're not behind it.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens, but it seems like a epic cell phone. So just wanted to read a
Yep,
couple of the
exactly.
comments that have been coming in. Llama Del Rey asked when Llama Bank, and Mr. the Dude pointed out, well, that's Curve. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Curve. Curve is it's the heart of stable dollars. It's the heart of DeFi. It's the only real stable dollar launchpad, in the universe as far as I'm concerned. So I think we're already there. First they fight us, and then in a couple of years they realize, oh wait, we need this, and then give it a hope. We'll see. Maybe more of a joke, but Walmart will be launching their stable dollar through Curve, and Disney will be bribing, and the Disney buck, and who knows what the future holds. That'd be pretty crazy, but reality is stranger than fiction, so who knows what what it'll look like in 2 or 3 or 4 years.
Oh no. The most surreal timeline.
Excellent. It's been an awesome discussion. Are there any more kind of like parting thoughts, any wisdom you want to drop, any alpha you want to leak real quick, or should we go ahead and wind it up for the day? Because I know it's getting quite late in Europe where some of you are.
Yeah, my kids have been amazingly well behaved actually. They're like 6 months and 3 years old. The 6-month-year-old is asleep, but the 3-year-old is watching Peppa Pig right now until I put her to bed. But she's been silent. Any alpha that we could drop? Horse, what do you reckon? There's probably something.
Yeah, I mean, in the Llamas Cord, I think the easiest place to watch for alpha is in the art creation channel, because you can kind of pay attention to what's happening with custom llamas. You can make a wild like logic jumps off of that.
Yeah, you can
But
see
yeah, I mean,
like
no,
say
keep
you
going,
can see a sneak peek of some of our badges that we're practicing some layouts for the future and everything, and we've been working on, even though the badge system is still going to be a couple months after this initial mint here. We've been working on badges and stuff for months already, and specific ones for certain protocols. And I'll say, I guess the one little alpha thing is we haven't we're still working on getting grants. That Panda is focused on talking to these different other entities on chain and people, protocols in the Curve ecosystem, and we're not like public on who's given us a grant yet, and or like how much any specific grants are. But if you look at our docs, our multi-sig is there publicly, and if you track it down and find it, and you can look us up on Zapper or DBank or whatever, you can already see some funds in there that we've gotten from some people, from protocols and stuff, and there's still a lot more coming, lined up and whatnot. But that's a little alpha if you want to do a little on-chain digging.
Nice, nice, excellent. Anyone else any parting words, or should we just go ahead and kill the YouTube live stream and move it to off the record chat?
No, I mean, like everything that I had written down that I wanted to speak about, like I think we covered. It was just really great to have the platform, and thanks for having us.
Yeah, my
yeah,
pleasure.
definitely, and just Just my last parting word is that, you know, all of us are on-chain natives, and it's our job to build a crypto. So come into Llama and participate, and let's build this how we want it to be built.
Yeah, and just last parting word here for the public stream here. Thank you, of course, crv.mktcap for having us on. Been a big fan. I remember I was one of like the first 100 people in your Discord here, and listening to some of your first streams many months ago. You had on like Wormhole Oracle and some other people early on, and they're, you know, great talks to listen to and way underrated. You know, I don't know why you don't have 100K followers yet. I guess the shadow ban, you know.
You know, I think of it as Curve is a fairly niche topic, right? Like Curve is in the 60th place on CoinGecko. So people's attention are divided. I think my bet on like focusing on Curve is a bet that Curve will be in the top 10 in the not too distant future, and all of our fortunes are going to rise with that.
Reach.
Right, but I was watching the podcast with DeFi Dave that you were on, you know, and you were talking about how you started off and seeing if you could make enough content based solely on curve per day. And it's pretty crazy to think that the attention span of this community is that high that you can do that quite easily. There's the content every day, there's the listeners, there's the followers, there's the people coming into the stream. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it was a
yeah.
great talk you had with the DeFi flywheel people. I think it was about 2 months ago. If anyone hasn't heard it, definitely go back and check it out. It's like 2 hours of life and crypto alpha in there. It was great hearing your starting out story, and you know, through the startups and then getting into crypto and Curve, and you definitely covered a couple things I never thought about in that long talk. It was great.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun doing that interview. I'm pretty reluctant to do interviews sometimes, but they convinced me to do it, and I'm glad I did. So yeah, great stuff, great stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and kill the stream. So if you're on YouTube, thank you so much for joining. Peace out, and make sure that if you want to catch all this, pop in the Discord for the live chat next time. And stay safe out there, friends. All right, so we are officially